My dearest brothers and sisters. This is Hakann speaking. I greet you in peace and love. Hopefully, you're spending some of your time in a way that's both useful and enjoyable. Doing some activity that is entirely in alignment for you may very well be both useful and enjoyable. Or simply spending time with your loved ones may be both useful and enjoyable. I'm using a broad definition of useful here. Spiritual practice, or spending time in nature, or having an amazing meal might also be both useful and enjoyable. And probably some of the time you're spending is useful but not enjoyable, such as doing chores. Or it's enjoyable but not useful, such as playing video games. In moderation, there's nothing wrong with that. However, a surprising amount of people are spending time on things that are neither useful nor enjoyable. And that's a bit strange, and also it's a waste. One example of a non-useful unenjoyable activity is excessively studying politics, more than is needed just to get a broad idea or what's going on. It doesn't bring you joy, probably, and it's also not really useful, probably, so why do it? Another example of a non-useful unenjoyable activity is arguing with strangers online. Another example is consuming news stories that are negative and depressing but also not directly relevant to you or things that you can really fix. Most news stories are ultimately like this. Another example is any kind of alt-media research that isn't practically applicable and doesn't bring you joy. Again, it may be useful to know some broad outlines, but probably not much more than that. So, why are people spending time in ways that are non-useful and unenjoyable? It's because people are meeting surface-level needs in this way. Acquiring rational information can make you feel smart and safe and in control on a somewhat surface level. Telling people online that they are wrong, or reading news stories about the other political side being bad, can make you feel smart and virtuous for being on the right side. And it can stroke your ego by making you feel superior to others. However, deep needs aren't being met this way. These activities don't truly make you feel happy or loved. They don't give you a sense of deep belonging or meaning. They don't truly make the world a better place. So arguing with people online or excessively studying politics. It meets surface-level needs, but not deep needs. This is why they're sort of tempting activities to engage in, but they're also things that we understand that we shouldn't focus on, because they're ultimately sort of hollow activities that don't truly help us or others. So, that is a useful question to ask yourself if you find yourself vaguely drawn towards doing something. Namely, will this meet a surface-level need or a deep need? If you feel drawn towards buying an expensive car, will that meet a surface-level need or a deep need? Probably a surface-level need. If you feel drawn towards finding a partner for a serious, long-term relationship, will that meet a surface-level need or a deep need? Probably a deep need. If you want to know some rational tidbit of information, will that meet a surface-level need or a deep need? Probably a surface-level need, because deep needs are things like being loved, having a meaningful life, etc., and you won't get that from knowing a snippet of information. If you feel drawn to move to another country, will that meet a surface-level need or a deep need? Well, it depends. Why are you feeling drawn to move? Ideally, you're able to meet your deep needs as much as possible, and then your surface-level desires will vanish or at least won't feel as pressing anymore. Now people might feel that it's impossible to meet their deep needs, but while that's challenging, you really can do a whole lot more than you think. Frankly, a lot of Earth people are far deeper into victim consciousness and helplessness consciousness than is warranted. There are absolutely opportunities on Earth for building a decent life and meeting good people. And while instead focusing on meeting surface-level needs is easier, for example by focusing on the external world and politics or trying to learn tidbits of rational information, ultimately that won't make you happy, and ultimately none of that will ever be enough. If anything, it can even distract you from what is truly important, such as going within, or spending time with your loved ones. So, if you feel vaguely drawn to something, will that meet a surface level or a deep need? I hope this was helpful. Your star brother, Hakann.